Hello everyone! I am back again with another horror story. This story was sent in by a subscriber. Let me tell you her story. Around 30 years ago, my friend Todd and I decided to go camping in a forest. We wanted to feel closer to nature and experience the outdoors like people before our time, but we also wanted to sleep in a bed and have our coffee, so we decided to get a cabin. He lived by one rule: one can only find true peace away from busy city life. I liked his idea. He proposed we don't take any popular tourist spots. Instead, we should rent a secluded cabin on the outskirts of Rambling Pine Campground about an hour from Washington, D.C. They called it the Willows Hut. A long road led to it called Willow Street. Todd booked the cabin and it was stocked with all our needs such as firewood, food, and water. But as luck would have it, Todd had a work emergency. "We can go after I get off from work. It won't be that dark, and it's just an hour's drive. We'll be there in no time," he assured me. I agreed, but since we didn't have a car back then, I was a little worried. Todd had a friend who lived near Rambling Pine who had agreed to give us his car. We took a bus to the campground and reached the house but ran into bad luck. His friend had waited all morning and then left because Todd forgot to call ahead. In the 80s, we didn't have Uber or Lyft, so we tried hailing a cab. Once the cab came, we told the driver to take us to Willow Street. He looked at us in disbelief. "You want to go to the Willows Hut? After dark? Are you sure?" "Yeah, we're sure. How far is it from here? Can you give me an estimate of the time and fare?" "No way. Even animals avoid Willow Street. It's haunted. Nobody goes there, especially after sunset. It just isn't safe." "Oh, come on. If you're looking to make an extra $1, just say it. Don't try and spook us with ghost stories. It won't work." "No, sir. I'm just too scared to go in there. The stories they tell you, they're all true." Finally, the driver agreed to take us to the Willows cabin, but only after we agreed to pay him double the fare. It was a quiet summer evening and the roads were nearly empty. It was dark when we finally crossed Rambling Pine, so the car had to drive slowly. Half an hour later, we came across a board saying Willow Street and the cab driver turned towards the forest. The car's headlights lit up the road. The shrubs, branches, and rocks cast eerie-looking shadows. I thought my mind was just playing tricks on me and that the shadows were pretty normal. But the driver looked terrified. He was praying all throughout the ride, and he thought the shadows were all sorts of witches and ghosts. Todd and I kept poking fun at him, spooking him, pointing at something scary in the dark and laughing at him. When I looked at my watch, I was surprised that we'd been driving for an hour. "Hey, are we lost or something? Do you know the way? It's supposed to be a few minutes away from the Rambling Pine campground. Where are we, man?" I was worried, but the driver was as white as a sheet. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and said, "We're on the right street, I think. I know the way well because I come here all the time, but only during the day. Maybe we drove down a detour? It's pretty dark." We started looking around, trying to find a way or turn. The sky was black, no stars or moon. There was dense, pitch-black darkness in the forest, and the possibility of getting lost there sent a chill down my spine. Todd saw something outside the window in the forest. It was a man walking alongside the car. I got the car stopped near him, hoping he was from the nearby town. He was draped in an ebony scarf which covered his face. I could see his hair dangling along his shoulders. Rolling down the window, I called out, "Hey buddy, can you tell me which way to the cabin? We can't seem to find it. This is Willow Street, right?" Oddly, he didn't stop. It was as if he couldn't hear me and didn't even look up to me. He just gestured to the left as if the cabin was somewhere out there. There was a small dirt road and the driver turned left. It was bumpy, but we were desperate to find our way. He had to drive even slower. I turned around to thank the man, and I felt cold and numb with fear as if my soul had left my body. Speechless, I grabbed Todd's shoulder and he turned around. That man was floating a few feet up in the air and he was following the car. His hair was flowing in the wind and the scarf had fallen from his face, but I couldn't make out anything in the dark. We started freaking out. Scared out of his mind, the cab driver put his foot on the gas and zoomed full speed down the bumpy road. Thankfully, a few minutes later, we saw the cabin lights. Speeding into the driveway compound, the driver yelled at the groundskeeper to shut the fence. He quickly closed the gates and ran to our side. One look at our faces and he said, "You really shouldn't have driven out in the dark. Willow Street can be dangerous. Strange things have been happening for the past few months. People say it's haunted by ghosts and ghouls roaming around after dark. If they find someone after the sun sets, that person does not see the morning light. They don't let anyone live." To this day, if someone talks about camping or cabins, I get goosebumps. I can never forget that terrifying night. I cannot forget the faceless floating man. Or was it a ghoul? In the morning, Todd was packed up and ready to go home. He shuddered. I can't spend a minute more in fear. My dull, drab city life is much better than this haunted forest. So this was today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. And don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the story, and let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you again with another horror story. Until then, bye!